All right, so we've got everything set up. We are good to go. And now it's time to get that vocal recorded. So we're going to start with the lead vocals. We might dabble with some background vocals, but we'll talk about those after the leads because obviously the lead vocal is the most important part of the song, but it's also the most important aspect of the vocals specifically. So let's start there. We're going to start with recording the lead vocal, and I'm going to walk you through using my song Satellite. And so here again is that instrumental. And we're just going to start it from the top with this lead vocal 1 track here. Now, a couple points I want to make before we dive in. One is I'm going to go ahead and do the magic exercise. So I talked about this in the last video with the checklist of when you're going through the 7-part checklist. This was at the very end, and this is about getting the voice warmed up. Now, I'm also going to do, and I did a few of these off camera, just a few of the lip rolls. It's the most classic exercise in the history of vocal exercises, right? It's the push-ups of vocal exercises. It just works. And so that is a great way just to kind of slide up and down. But then we also want to really fuse, I don't know if fuse is the right word, but we want to really connect what our voice feels, and we want to find the pocket within our voice in the context of the particular song we are recording. Because in this moment right here, or in your moment, in your studio, in your bedroom, right then and there, the only song that matters is that song you are recording the vocal to. That is the only song that matters. And so we want to focus in on that and really zoom in on it. And one of the ways we do that is by doing the magic exercise. Now, again, I talked about how the magic exercise works in module 1. It was fundamental 2 of my 5 singing fundamentals. So you can find it there if you want more information, but I'm just going to go ahead and actually do a practice round, and I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to do this magic exercise by using a few exercises, but I'm still going to use the melody, and that's going to help my voice warm up to this specific song, this specific melody, and the cadence of this vocal performance. So let's go ahead. I'll start it over here somewhere. Oh, and there's one thing I didn't mention previously until now is the click track. So you want to adjust the click track and find the right volume. So in Studio One, the metronome is down here, and this turns the metronome off and on. So now it's off. So if I turn it on, then it's turned on. And then if I click on the little tool thing there, we can adjust how the metronome works, whether we want a pre-count when we hit record, whether we want it louder or quieter. The biggest thing when it comes to click tracks is just don't make it so loud in your headphone mix that it bleeds through, and then you're left with a really big problem on your hands in the mixing phase with like those clicks are just popping through on the lead vocal, and it's actually cutting through the mix. So that's never a good thing. That's one of those beginner mistakes that you want to try to avoid. And one of the ways that you do that is just be very aware of where the level is of the click track and make it that it's just so loud enough that you can hear it, that it helps you follow the song, but not too loud that it's going to bleed through and get into the vocal mix. Okay? So I've got just a little click track going there, and then and here I'm just going to do NG. Flickering light, my satellite, my satellite. This cause driving through an East Colorado town under a black cloud. See, I'm just using an exercise to find the placement, to find the pocket, to find that maximum tone for this particular song. And it works really well because you're following the melody of the song. And then once you find the pocket with the exercise, then you can go ahead and bring the actual lyrics of the song in while maintaining that placement, the resonance, and the pocket that you just found with the exercise. So this is really powerful stuff here. So I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna do a couple more exercises and then we'll go ahead and actually record this in. So I'll turn on the recording so I can hear myself now. Forcing a smile, we, 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 we. V, 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 V. V, 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 V. V, 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 V. V, 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 V. V, 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 V. This cause I'm usually all in, it's so indecisive. Oh. Driving through an East Colorado town under a black cloud. So I'll just do one more chorus and then I'll wrap this part up. So I'll run through and I'm gonna probably do, I might just go back to the NG. I love the NG and I might try one more as well. Beep, 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 beep. Mama, 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 mama. Mama, 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 oh. Mama, 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 mama. Driving through an East Colorado town under a black cloud. Do you notice what's happening here? The NG and the mom, especially for me. Now, play around with the different exercises. Everybody's got a different voice and different tendencies. So, the exercises that work best for me might not necessarily work best for you. But are you noticing the tonal difference? So, if I just kind of sing, driving through an East Colorado town, I'm not really I'm not really in a place. It's just kind of, I'm just kind of splatting, just kind of singing. Driving through an East Colorado town, but there's not any feeling behind it. But when you use an exercise like NG, it kind of places the voice in this place up here or back here. Driving through an East Colorado town. So when you bring the actual lyrics into that pocket, driving through an East Colorado town, it allows you to just project so much more emotion and truly find that space and find that placement and that positioning where the resonance actually feels more pleasing and more musical and more compelling. This stuff is so incredibly valuable. This exercise is, I called it the magic exercise for a reason. It is literally magic. So be sure that you do this, especially when you're warming up, when you're getting ready to record your song. Take your time with it, warm up, and really try to find that ideal pocket and that placement with your voice. Okay? So once that is done, then it's time to go ahead and actually get the vocal recorded. So I'm going to go ahead and start it here. Now, some of you might be asking, okay, how many takes do I actually need? Because you may have seen or heard of artists who they'll record 100 takes and they'll comp and get a word here and a phrase here and you'll just kind of patch it all together from a ridiculous number of takes. Please don't do 100 takes. All right, please don't do 100 takes. It's not going to work well for you. I feel like trying to get 100 takes is actually only going to work for you if you are advanced. And at that point, you kind of don't need to. It's just that you want to, and you want to take your vocal maybe from 95% perfect to 99% perfect in that case. But if you're truly trying to get a great vocal, and this is sort of my overall philosophy that I want you to chew on. If you can't get a great vocal within 3, 4, or max 5 takes, if you can't get a great vocal in just a handful of takes, you're not going to get a great vocal with 100 takes. Not in the same day. And so that's the one thing I want you to remember. Another point I want to make here is it is better to use only 3 takes on a good vocal day than to try to sing 100 takes on a bad vocal day and find a good vocal in there somewhere. On a good vocal day, it is amazing how much better and how much more locked in and how fewer tracks you need to get a great vocal. Versus on a bad day where your voice, maybe you're dealing with some allergies, or you've just been sick, or your voice is really dry and coarse and it's just not in a good place. If you try and record on that day, it's probably just a waste of time. Where if you waited until your voice recovered a little bit and you recorded on a better day, you would only need 3 or 4 takes, and then you'll have a better vocal, a much better vocal in those 3 or 4 takes than you would ever have with 100 takes on a bad day. So pick your days wisely. That's the main point. If it's a bad vocal day, don't push through it. And I know we already talked about that earlier on in the module, so I'm not going to dive deeper into it. So now let's actually go ahead and let's start recording. And just one more quick point that I'll mention. I know I'm doing a lot of prerequisite stuff and going through this preliminary stuff. One more thing I want to mention here that's important is you want to approach this and you want to take the mindset as if you are recording this vocal take live. You want to feel like you're live. Because what happens when you're live? Let's say you're at an open mic, or you're just performing, or you actually have a live show. You only really have one chance to get it right. So that means there's no, being too experimental or being too nonchalant about it, because you can't take the approach of, I have 100 takes here in my back pocket. I can just, if I start to screw it up, I can just stop the recording. And of course that's true. If you screw it up, you can stop the recording. And I actually do that. I'm not the type of person who says you have to record the take from start to finish, even if you screw up. I'm not even saying that. I am purely talking in terms of your mindset, your mental positioning as to how are you going to approach this vocal. Do not approach it in the mindset of, I can record a bunch of different takes, so therefore it doesn't really matter what this take sounds like. It's yeah, it does matter. You want to feel that bit of pressure. You want to feel that bit of risk. It's if I don't get it right, then I might not get it right. So you really want to lean into it, and you want to feel just a little bit of pressure so that your brain, in essence, turns on, so that it knows, look, you need to get this right. And that is what it does. That is the power of taking this mindset and adopting this mindset of, I'm going to approach this like I'm singing it live. So I'm finally done with all the preliminary stuff. Now let's go ahead and I'm going to start recording the vocals for this song.
Spotlight, show me the way, 'cause I'm losing both my headlights. All the coastlines pulling me in, now I'm magnetized from both sides. Yeah, I'm the lost boy, out of place. I walk in a blurred line. See, there's a lost girl in my sights, but what did I just think twice? Yeah. Flickering light, my satellite, my satellite. Or maybe she's a thorn in my side, my kryptonite, my kryptonite. I don't know how to fight this. this, cause I'm usually all in, but so indecisive. Oh, driving through an East Colorado town under a black cloud.
So there's a little take we got. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't my best work, and it never is, or at least for me, it usually never is on the first take, because I'm still trying to find my lane, trying to find that pocket still. And often for me, it's usually the second take and the third take where it really starts to take shape. So now I'm not gonna make you just watch me record this vocal over and over. I don't think that's honestly, I don't think it's that helpful. So I just wanted to give you a taste and understanding of how this works. So by all means, I like to do it in chunks of about this size, where I'm not a huge fan of going from the start of the song all the way to the end of the song, because one of the reasons is once you get towards the end of the song, that's often where you get the biggest emotion and where you really need as much of your energy as you can. So I'm a big fan of going about halfway and then taking a break, and then maybe you can either go ahead and do the rest of it right away, or you can start with take two and just repeat what you already did. That way you have an additional take. So I think that's pretty much where I'm gonna wrap it up. That helps you gain an understanding of how this process works. And then obviously when we record in a new take, it would just, whoops, not there. Recorded a new take, right? Just so you have a visual of it. I'll duplicate this. Obviously don't do this. I'm going to delete this in a second, but then, you'll have a new take here, and then maybe once you have 3 of those, you can start for this part of the song and get those vocals recorded. And then once that is done, once you've got, I would say 3 or 4 takes in terms of you have from the beginning of the song all the way to the end of the song, you've got 3 or 4 takes ready to go on the lead vocal. If you are not at all happy with what you have, then I recommend that you just quit, that you just stop for the day, just for the day. Because like I said, 3 to 4 good takes, you're going to get a much better vocal on a good vocal day with just those small number of takes than you will with 100 vocal takes on a bad day. So don't try to keep pushing through it and hoping for a great vocal to somehow and take 47 to come flying out. It's not going to happen most likely. So sometimes we just need to take a humble pill and just say, like, look, my voice isn't up for it. Maybe it's my fault. Often it is for me. I'm like, I haven't been practicing enough. I didn't warm up much. I've been so distracted with other things. I kind of got off my routine with doing my vocal exercises, all of these different things. Maybe your voice just isn't quite set up and ready to go that day. And that's okay. That happens to the best of us. So I trust you. I believe in you. And I know that you have the ability and you can develop that awareness to know when you're having a good day versus a bad day. But also remember that if it's a bad day and you've taken the time to set everything up and you record and it's not really going well, that's not a waste of time. Every day is a learning experience. Every time you set up your mic and you get everything and you walk through the checklist I just talked about and you go through this process, even if those vocals don't sound good enough to you and you need to come back again the next day, that's okay. It was a learning experience. And that is the process. It's a grind. It's hard work. It takes time to truly master these types of things. Okay? Now, there's one more point I want to make here, and it has to do with background vocals. Now, I'm not going to record any background vocals, and part of the reason is because we don't have enough lead vocals to double over and to add those other tracks we might want to add. But I'm just going to be very honest here. I am not a huge fan of recording the background vocals like vocal doubles or harmonies or those types of things in this phase. I actually prefer to wait until step 5 when you are mixing the vocals. And the reason is because it allows you to take the lead vocal through step 3, through editing, step 4, compression, EQ, and even start mixing that lead vocal, because then it goes back to this track analogy. Then you have a track, and now you have that lead vocal on the track, and then you can add a few train cars, like a vocal double and some harmonies, in once you get to that place. But an example of this is if you have multiple takes of a lead vocal, and you're not sure which one you want to use, and the one lead vocal take is timing wise just is sung a lot differently than the next one, which can easily happen. then if you don't know yet which one you're going to use in this stage, then how do you know which vocal to listen to in your headphones when you're recording your doubles or the background vocals in general, right? Then it becomes a thing of, man, and then you change the timing of the lead vocal in module 3 during editing, and then you get to mixing and they're completely off timing wise, and that is just a pain to fix. So I'm sharing this with you because I want to show you my process. That is my process. Now, there are instances where this doesn't work. And a classic example is if you're bringing in a singer and you only have an hour or two with that person to get the vocals down, let's say you're a producer, then of course you want to get some vocal doubles in and some harmonies and all of that. By all means, find a system that works best in that context. But I'm talking about here, or what I'm talking about here is specifically if you the producer are also the vocalist, or maybe you live in the same house as the vocalist and so it's easy to split it up, then I actually prefer and I recommend focusing only on the lead vocal at first and then dialing in the background vocals and the doubles and everything else in module 5 during the mixing phase. Okay, so there you go, my friend. That is how you get everything set up. That's how you think about recording that lead vocal, and that's how you actually record the lead vocal. So I really hope this was helpful. I know we've covered a lot of ground. So if you're still confused about something, be sure to just leave a comment in the comment box below the video, and I'll get back to you. So thanks so much for watching. Let's move on to the next lesson.